Hello, I'm Weldon Oliver, and welcome to Oliver's Art. I'm located at 138 Maple Street, downtown Florence, and today we're going to paint a beautiful rhododendron in spring painting. And I'm going to start first, after I've had my white on the board already. It's already on my canvas. I'm going to pick up some white on my brush and pull down just a little bit of purple. That'll be either permanent mauve or dioxazine purple, doesn't matter which. And a little bit of ivory black into that. This is going to give me my shadow color, and I'm going to start up here. And I'm scumbling or scrubbing it right down the canvas. Lots of movement in my background. I'm going to create a shadowy effect as if you were looking into the forest where the trees are, with a gorgeous rhododendron blooming in front as they're doing right now. I'm going to smooth my atmosphere down with X strokes. But I need another layer of gray in my forest, and that's going to be the gray that's underneath everything. And so I'm going to reach over here and pick up a little bit of phthalo blue. Stir that into the purple I was using, a little more purple, and a little bit of black. Tiny bit of white to help it cover. A rather somber, shadowy color that goes in here. Notice how the strokes are a little bit vertical as bushes grow up, just making a suggestion to the viewer that you sense there's something rising there. Again, I'm going to smooth it out with X strokes. I now have a sky and a shadowy bottom with gray shadow light in it. I'm getting ready to put in my first layer of trees. I'm going to get white in a fan brush, get a little bit of the gray I had in before, condition that brush, pick up some of that beautiful mauve I'm using, and a tiny bit of black. What I notice in forests and places where I go is it's not uncommon to see trees that are almost ghosts in the background. They're very vertical, of course. Some of them lean a little bit. They will tilt. They're thin. Not a lot to see. Driving my car up and down these roads in Oregon, I do see their shadow shapes in the back. A little more purple on that brush now. I also notice that they have diagonal lines that come out. Nothing to draw here. Just think of how the tree limbs go down. They lean a little bit like tents as they branch out from the trunk. And they're a little bit rough, a little bit shaggy. I'm just going to very softly smooth that. Get a little bit more blue and a little bit more of the mauve again. And I'm going to accent a shadow or two. Now while I'm here with that color, I'm going to go ahead and put it right at the bottom where I know the shadows would be under any bush like this rhododendron we're going to put in. And I now have two subtle layers. I see that distant mist that's kind of dark and gray, and something a little warmer and a little closer up front, and some affair in the background that suggests trees in the distance. I'll wipe my brush off. reach over and pick up a little white, and again it's highlighting the light in the sky. I notice that my sky is a little bit brighter at the top, where the treetops are thinner and more of the skylight gets through. And of course the light would be coming from one side or the other. I choose this side today. Those broken bits of light there are what come through the branches. A little more of that tunnel effect. Before I leave this area, I'm going to get a little white in the brush and a little yellow. Tiny bit of black. Black and yellow want to shade down to green a little bit. Again, we're inside a forest. And coming through my forest, I will see beams of light. They spread a little flatter across the top of the sky, a little broader at the bottom. There they are. You know the idea. If you've observed the rays of light that come down for us, a little more white in a few places. It's almost like a curtain on a stage. See how easy that effect is? Very simple. Just lightly stroke a little of the yellow-green. And of course, as it goes over the purple, it forces the viewer to see things in the distance. I'm going to now bring my trees forward a little bit. I've got a little more purple, a bit more blue, more black. I don't want it too dark. There we go. Darker gray, and there would be some trees that now just come a little bit closer. And they're going to break the sunlight behind them. Again, giving the viewer the feeling that there's just something a little bit closer there. That shaggy, broken look. Something in the distance that you can't quite make out, but you sense that it's there. And a little bit of that shadow in the front. And we'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's put some beautiful mid-light, again I say mid-light, on our forest scene. In the back is purple, purple trees. Now I need to begin to see things come closer. I'm going to reach down and get some Terra Verte green, mix it in with a little bit of that gray I had before, and a little bit of yellow, and a little white to bring it up. And it would begin to show itself on these trees here. I'm just adding pieces of the green. Add a little blue to that. Blue is going to give me the shadow side. I come down the other way with some of those. There are no particular shapes to any of this yet, and I don't want any particular shapes to it. Reaching over here now, I've got some rose. I'm going to pick up the rose and the yellow and come down here and stir it together with a little bit of that blue-green, the Terra Verte, maybe even a little Viridian, a little white. I'm going to come up with something that's brown. Red and green make our brown colors. And down here, I would begin to see the beginning of the trees that really do come closer. And what the story is on those, you just see more of the red in the bark. That's why the tree seems closer to you. Either that or it's very, very dark. In this case, it's closer because it's redder. Very large trees. We have a lot of them on the coast. I believe what I'll do is I'll just simply make this first one close up, which means wider, of course, larger and wider. I'm going to bring a little bit of this color, not too much, lightly sprinkled inside for things where tree limbs and twigs would be, even a touch or two inside some of the grayer areas, just where your pine cone or any visible part of the tree would be. Picking up my liner brush and a little Oliver's Art medium. I'm going to loosen the paint and begin from the inside of the tree out. A few of those lines of the branches which we normally see associated with the trees of this kind. Shaking motion works best. Trees get a lot of wind, a lot of weather damage out there. Branches tend to be broken. A little white on the liner brush coming down the side. Some of these trees have rather large areas of white or light color. Doesn't have to be pure white, even a light brown will work. Anything to show that there's light on the sides of the trees. I'm going to rub my brush into that dark gray, almost black blue, and bring some of that inside the tree down the other side. What I really have is dark, the middle color, and light on the other side. I have 3 shades to this front tree. I need that. And up above, where the trees hang and drape over each other, as these do, in forests and parks and places where you drive, it's not uncommon at all to have branches that come clear over the roadways. And that one comes in from that side. I've got a little more black, blue, a bit of it on this side, perhaps not as much. But good solid darks belong inside the trees that hang closest to us, like those. And now we begin to see the foreground coming closer to us. And this is all working very well. Before I leave that area, I pick up the brush, wipe it out, get a little bit of black, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit viridian, white. I'm just going to add a little bit, some of those sideways motions I see. Trees, they tend to drape like lace. A little viridian, more toward the top areas. The blue-green is harder where it's closer. And we'll be right back to finish our picture. Welcome back. Let's finish our beautiful rhododendron in spring. First thing I'm going to do is, while I have the chance, I'm going to pick up some ivory black, stir it maybe with a little blue, and I'm going to establish my values down here in the front. I know I really need to see a place where the bushes do go. I'm just going to scumble that area in, up and round and over a little bit. Puts the trees back where they belong. Now, while I have black on the brush, I'm going to go ahead again, get a little white, and pull down some yellow. Come up with some of that vivid pine needle green. I need to add a little bit of light to my tree branches up here as they come across. A little more white and yellow. simply showing that they're there. And now a little bit, not too much, just a little bit of that lighter color into my gray. I'm starting to build the background where the bushes go. And here in Oregon, the thickets are very, very thick, and the rhododendrons and trees are just embedded together. So something's always behind everything that goes on back there. Quick movements of the brush are best. They create that more random look the bushes have. I'm going to reach over now, and I'm going to get some white and a little bit of my Viridian green. It's that very blue green. I'm going to pick it up and begin to add just a little bit of that color into the background where things are more in the shadow. I'm just dotting it in. It's over and under and all around my yellow color. The gray, the very, very dark color we had in the front, is just a little less dark now. And there's something there. And before I leave this area, I'm going to pick up my napkin, wipe off the fan brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of white, pull down some nice red rose. Beautiful, beautiful pink color. And I'm just going to slip a few dots of those randomly in the bushes, the way that we do here on the coast when spring arrives and we have all our flowers blooming in full force. You can drive up and down all the boulevards and you can begin to see them everywhere. Notice how the red works against the green and how the green works so well against the purple. You begin to see the three-dimensional shape. Picking up my liner brush, little Oliver's Art medium, and black, a little bit of blue in the black for darkness. I'm going to pull up a rhododendron branch as they grow in the wild. They're often quite long, and they reach long distances to be in the light. It's not uncommon to see them stretch completely across a road in some places. Just using a thin part of the brush here. There. And there they stand out against the background. Picking up my fan brush, I'm now going to get some medium and some yellow, and I'm pulling down again that color, that permanent green light, even a little bit of Viridian in it for blue-green. Very, very pretty color. Scooping some of that color up now, and wherever I have branches of my rhododendron, I'm just going to add the leaves in the bunches that they grow. And here on the coast, you may have noticed there's a lot of tree stem in between the branches and the foliage and flowers of a rhododendron. They grow very strong and very thick here. Very big plant. Like most of the state, quite independent. That establishes the front part of my bush. They're very deep green leaves, some of them. Wiping the fan brush, I now move a little more of the medium, white, yellow, and the green. I'm going to highlight these. In and among these beautiful dark green leaves, you will see the sunlight striking the leaves, and they're almost waxy in appearance. They're very powerful. They stand out especially after a fresh spring rain. Rhododendrons just glisten. Again, I'm using more and more yellow and white. I have to mix the paint fairly stiff. I want to build the texture of the foliage. Notice how they just stand right out. They're beautiful and I love them. Wiping off the brush one more time. Getting a little medium on the brush, I'm going to reach over here and pull down a little cadmium red deep. And because my brush has some value in it already, that color will change a little and blend more with the plant. That's good. Paint has to be pliable. I pick it up with the fan brush. I'm going to start placing blooms where I so often see them. Very often they stand right on top of the foliage. And of course inside the tree as well. As the color runs out, I get more. The color does change as I add it to the plant. The thing about a rhododendron bush is I always see the big blooming ones with lots of stems in between. Now I'm going to highlight those a little bit. I'm going to pull a little cadmium orange over into that red and a little bit of yellow and now some white. There are shadows of various colors in these large, large blooms. A little bit of that even can be down in the background. As long as it isn't too large to interfere with the plant in the front. Again, we tend to see these in thickets, in our roadways, highways. A parade of color, which Oregon is very proudly famous for. I'm going to blend a little bit of this out down here. Okay. Wipe the brush out. A little white, a little rose, I think. Permanent rose is a nice, beautiful red. Makes a very vivid, vivid pink. I like some of those around the blooms also. Again, the fan brush makes the best motions. Very loose, independent. And the tree is coming around, very pretty. Red, cadmium red and white. There. And there's a beautiful rhododendron, all set for our rhododendron parade, for which Oregon is so justly proud. I'm Weldon Oliver. Come and join me at Oliver's Art and learn to paint.